What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of KozMatt's Wrestling Recap. Let's get right into a pretty entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. Matthew is not with me today because he is detailing a boat, but he will be here for Friday Night SmackDown. Nevertheless, let's get right into an entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. Raw opening up with Riddle surrounded by most of the ring as he celebrated Randy Orton's 20th year in the WWE. A touching segment with Orton talking about his impressive career and all of his accomplishments as a video package of all his career accomplishments played over the Jumbotron. Randy saying he hopes that the WWE Universe isn't tired of him quite yet, as he has a lot more in the tank and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Riddle then bringing Cody Rhodes down to the ring, with Cody Rhodes embracing Randy Orton in a very touching moment. Of course, Seth Rollins had to ruin it, getting up from his chair from ringside, saying that Randy shouldn't trust Cody Rhodes as he is just there to steal the spotlight. This brought out Kevin Owens and Ezekiel in a very funny segment that just saw Kevin Owens yelling that is not Ezekiel and how could Randy let him fool him like that. With all men arguing back and forth, this set up an 8-man tag team match later in the night. Up next, we saw Sonya Deville take on Bianca Belair for that Raw Women's Championship. Of course, we had to know that Sonya was going to do anything that she could to try and take that championship off of Bianca Belair. Bianca starting off strong, throwing Sonya Deville over the announcer's table, looking to set up the KOD. Of course, Sonya Deville having none of it, grabbing a microphone, saying that this match would not end in countout as it was a no disqualification match. With Carmella and Queen Zelina coming down to the ring, trying to beat up the EST. The EST overcoming it, however, hitting the KOD for that victory to retain her championship. I thought this was a pretty good match overall. The EST really showing her strength in the ring, showing that she could really hang with any women's superstar in the division. This then brought us to Veer taking on Sam Smothers in another squash match. Veer looking absolutely dominant, locking in that submission hold to get the quick victory. I don't know what they're really doing with him. They're really building him up as this monster heel, but I'm excited to see who his first major competition is going to be. Talking about competition, we then saw Bobby Lashley take on Omos in an arm wrestling match. We haven't seen one of these segments in a while, and it was great to see. With both powerhouses trying to show their strength, of course, MVP with some trash talk before Bobby Lashley made his way down to the ring. After a long struggle, which saw both men having an opportunity to win the arm wrestling match at multiple occasions, Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, eventually pulled off the win against Omos in the arm wrestling match. Omos absolutely irate, throwing the table, looking to attack Bobby Lashley. This really got me hyped up for their match at WrestleMania Backlash, as there seemed to be genuine heat between Bobby Lashley and Omos. After a short break, we saw Reggie and Dana Brooke take on Tamina and Akira Tozawa in an absolute shit show of a match. With R-Truth pretending to be a couples counselor, it was just absolutely hilarious. Tozawa and Tamina winning the match in a pretty quick match. We then saw the chaos of the 24/7 championship with everybody trying to pin Dana Brooke to win that championship. Dana fortunately being able to escape, holding on to her championship. Heading next, we then saw Becky Lynch make her way down to the ring as she was looking more depressed than ever, as she then talked about almost 3 years of her holding that Raw Women's Championship, not making an appearance without it in almost 3 years. Becky then talking about how she hit rock bottom and there was nowhere else to go but up from here, stating that this was a brand new beginning of her legendary comeback. We then saw Asuka make her long-awaited return. With an eruption from the crowd, they were certainly blowing the roof off the place. With Lynch trying to attack Asuka avoiding it as she just continued to dance to her music, making Becky look somewhat silly. This certainly got me hyped for a potential match between these two at WrestleMania Backlash. We then saw a match between Finn Balor and Damian Priest in this ongoing feud. These two did not hold back on each other, really showing their frustration, beating each other senseless. With Damian Priest hitting a vicious powerbomb on Finn Balor as we head to commercial. We returned from commercial break, seeing Finn Balor still struggle to gain his footing. With Balor trying to make a comeback in the match, hitting a double stomp before looking up at the ramp at the Rated R Superstar. Off the distraction by Edge, this allowed Damian Priest to hit a vicious chokeslam and his new finisher for the win. A decent match. I expected a little bit more between these two superstars. I'm hoping that this feud continues and we see it go on further than WrestleMania Backlash. Heading next, we then saw The Miz heading down to the ring for another segment of Miz TV, Austin Theory, his guest for this week. With Austin Theory making his way down to the ring, kind of a blob promo between the two, basically just hyping each other up like typical heels do. With Austin Theory saying he will no longer go by the name Austin Theory. It was just kind of ridiculous. With Austin Theory texting Vince McMahon while these two were in the ring, telling The Miz that he set up a match for him and Mustafa Ali. Next, The Miz not seeming too happy about this. The crowd did pop when Mustafa Ali made his way down to the ring. This was a pretty good back and forth match, with the match starting off with a few wrestling locks, with The Miz controlling the first few minutes of the match. Ali really showed that he could still do it in the ring, as this was the first time we saw him in quite a while, winning the match with an impressive pin combination. As we finally hit our main event for the 8-man tag team match, Cody Rhodes, Ezekiel, and the RK Bros taking on Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and the Usos. All superstars really delivered in this match, as they all had a huge brawl before the bell even rang, with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes taking most of the damage early as the heels look to establish dominance, with Randy Orton really having the match he deserved on his 20-year anniversary in the WWE, hitting a bunch of RKOs from various angles, with the Legend Killer picking up the win for his team. Well, guys, that was it for an entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. Let me know what you thought about the show, and Matthew and I will see you Saturday for a SmackDown recap. Peace out.